Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Transitions to Online Teaching, all about CSD Learns webinar. Now, we've had two webinars on this topic hosted by two other experts in education on online learning. And now we've decided to go ahead and place the focus and spotlight on the team for a change. We haven't done that in a long while. And so we're allowing folks to meet the team and see who we are. I am Brian Milburn. I am Program Manager at CSD Learns. And I'll allow the rest of the team to introduce themselves before we go on to the next slide. Go ahead, folks.
Okay, hello, I'm Megan Kaluza. I am the Learning and Transition Manager for CSD Learns.
Hi, and I'm Keith Delk. I'm the Digital Media Coordinator.
Hi, my name's Jazzy Jones, and I'm the Digital Producer. Hello, everyone, welcome.
Fabulous team, and this is Brian speaking. I've been with CSD Learns for about 1.5 years now. Let me ask the rest of you on the team, how long have you been here at CSD Learns?
This is Jazzy. I'm a baby, only 5 months.
Okay, yeah, I agree.
Megan says, I actually joined CSD Works and was there for a while before transitioning over to Learns, and I think I've been here since October, I believe. Yeah.
And this is Keith. I am definitely proud to say I've been here the longest, almost hitting 3 years. I'm almost at the 3-year mark. And this is Brian, you're right. You have been here the longest out of all of us. The next slide is for any folks who are coming into our webinar tonight. We've got some guidelines in regards to accessibility. Make sure you are watching this program on a computer. This doesn't fit too well for a mobile device. If you need to use the sign language interpreters to hear what we are saying, we have that on. Turn on the voice and you can hear the volume of the interpreter speaking. We also have captions on the screen. And we also want to thank Amanda and Dan, also part of the CSD team, who are working here to support us behind the scenes. Typically, I have that role. So again, I just wanted to acknowledge Amanda and Dan and recognize them supporting us here tonight. They will be keeping an eye on our chat box tonight. And again, this is Dan speaking. We want to make sure that you folks can see us clearly. And in order to adjust your screen between the PowerPoint and the video screens of the 4 of us on the screen, you can go ahead and click on those 2 white lines in the middle of the screen, just slide them back and forth, and it'll resize either side of the screen for you.
This is Megan. Okay, since we've already introduced ourselves, I also want to mention where we're from as well, because Learns under CSD is a virtual company, which means all of us are in our respective locations and hometowns. So we're all from different areas. Brian's from Rochester, New York. I'm from Frederick, Maryland. Keith lives in Washington, D.C., and Jazzy is from Buffalo, New York. So it's really nice that we're all spread out, yet we work together as a team. It's really cool. And now before we start going into our program and the explanation of our work, I really want you all to get a sense of who we are and get to know us a little better. So next slide, please. Okay, we'd like to do a fun poll. And you need to guess which characteristic matches which one of us. So first poll question says, which one of us come from a blended family of 8 children? And by blended family, we mean the person's parents were divorced and remarried, both of the respective parents remarried, and so there's a blended family of step-siblings. Do you think it's Brian, Jazzy, me, or Keith? Go ahead and enter in the poll.
This is Brian. Who here looks like a single child with no brothers and sisters, and who looks like they have tons of brothers and sisters?
Megan says, okay, all right, let's check the results.
Yeah, let's look, says Brian.
Ah, it looks like pretty
Wow,
balanced
that's pretty
between
close.
Jazzy or
Yeah.
Keith. Interesting. The real answer is Jazzy.
Right.
So, Jazzy, how many brothers and sisters do you have? Jazzy says, I have 4 brothers and 3 sisters, and I'm the second in line in my family. Ah, nice, says Megan. All right, next question.
Okay, says Brian.
Oh, this is an interesting question. So, which one of us do you feel has the experience of building a PC computer from scratch? Who do you think has done that?
This is Brian. Okay, which one of us is the most geeky looking, right? Is it me or
I
is it
think,
someone else?
is it me,
Could it be
Jazzy?
Jazzy or is it Megan with her vest on?
Jazzy says 80s flashback.
This is Brian. I'll give you a hint. 3 of us went to RIT, the Rochester Institute for Technology.
Megan says, let's see the results. Ah,
Wow.
all right. Everyone thinks it's you, Keith.
Kid says, yeah, they're checking us out. This is Brian. Okay, there's no females selected on that list. What's going on
Jazzy.
there?
Wow, we got to work on that. Yep, we need to work on that. Megan says the answer is Brian. Now,
This is Brian.
Brian,
Yep, guilty as charged.
what year was that? Was it when you were really young, or is that a more recent fact?
Well, that's a good question, Megan. I built a PC in the year 2000. I was still in high school. I didn't have much else to do. I was rather bored and I thought, let me build a PC. It was a total of about $800 at that time for a gaming computer and it was a major
Cool.
learning experience for me. And it helped kind of solidify and cement that tech foundation for me that has served me so well.
Megan says, very cool. All right, next question. Which one of us goes to Disney every year, Disney parks? Who do you think that is?
Check us out well. Do you see any mouse ears on us? Anyone might have memorabilia in the background? Now you can't see much there, says Brian. Okay, okay.
Uh, Jazzy says, I have plants. Megan is saying, it's funny. We all know each other pretty well by now, so I'm not going to be able to make any kind of guesses. All right, what's the result?
Right. Let's see what they are, says Brian.
Megan says,
Wow.
wow, yes, that's
Amazing.
correct. The answer is me. Wow, 94% people thought that it was me. I wonder why.
And this is Brian. Yeah, how could they tell?
Yeah, I've been going to Disney parks ever since 2014 on an annual basis. Really, I went several times before that, but starting in 2014, I thought, why don't I do this every year? And I have done it every year, except with
Uh-huh.
this year, with coronavirus. It
Yeah.
probably will halt my streak, unfortunately.
This is Keith. So 5 years, right? I remember Six Flags. I had that same thing where I went to Six Flags for 8 years straight. So you have a little to catch up to me.
Yes, I do. All right, next. So, which of us have participated in 2 business competitions at NTID and placed in the top 3 twice? So, when we're talking about a business competition, if you've ever seen the TV show Shark Tank, that's a business competition where someone comes up and presents their business idea, and then the investors decide whether or not and how much they'll invest in that business proposal. And so NTID has that same type of competition program that helps invest in deaf-owned businesses. So wondering who you think that is. Results, please.
And this is Brian. So who looks the most entrepreneurial here?
Jazzy, look at me.
Let's see the results.
Ah, Keith. Yes, that's correct. Keith, can you explain? So you were a part of this for 2 years straight, and where did you come in your ranking?
Well, First, I was involved with Wavio. It's a sound recognition system. That came in third place. And then a second place was a job-seeking network for hard of hearing community program. That was in 2015. Yeah, 2015.
And where did you come in? Which place?
Okay, Wavio came in third, and then Snap is what that other program was called, came in second. And this is Brian. Well, what a perfect fit, because CSD Learns kind of was functioning as a startup and having to navigate educating through technological means the deaf and hard of hearing community, which was very challenging in and of itself.
Megan says, yes, that's true. Next. Brian.
Go ahead, Megan. Me? Oh, okay, thank you. So, why are we here tonight? Well, we're here for one, to tell our story and discussing educational technology. We're also here to share the resources that we have developed for our educators over the years. We're excited for the content and materials that we have to share with educators. And also, this is the time for you to ask your burning questions and share any thoughts or feedback. Next slide. Is that nice and clear for everyone? All right.
Mm-hmm. This is Jazzy. Now, before we dive into our explanation of CSD Learns, we first want to scan the audience and see who's here with us tonight. So this poll is a multiple choice question, so choose as many as apply to you. If you're a parent, an educator, an e-learning developer, that's someone who's developing or online education for deaf and hard of hearing students. Or maybe you're an itinerant teacher or a interpreter. And we want to know who's here wanting to learn more about CSD Learns. I'm curious of the results.
And this is Brian. Who's the most rare person that would be here? I think an e-learning developer would be the toughest type of person to find. It'd be odd if there was one here.
Jazzy says, yeah, we need to see more for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see the
Well,
results.
let's see the results. Okay, and this is Brian. Okay, there is a developer here. Mainstream, well, half and half, I would say. Mainstream educators, deaf school. Guys, can you tell me what the other is? What did we define as other?
Jazzy says, if you don't mind sharing, if you chose other, go ahead and type in the comment box because we do want to know more about you, our audience, so we can continue to generate content that applies to you. Thank you. Next slide.
Sure.
One more question. Now back again.
Right.
Same thing. This is a multiple choice question related to those who clicked on educator, that identifying yourself as an educator. Where do you work? Elementary school, middle school, high school, all of the above, or special education, or other? At CSD Learns, we generate content and specific toolkits, and we touch on all of those age ranges, elementary, middle school, and high school, but we always want to know more about our audience who's watching us, which will help us to continue to develop more content for you guys.
This is Brian. I do see responses in the chat box. I see someone said they are an interpreter. I also see a educational consultant for deaf and hard of hearing. Okay, interpreting student, educator in the higher education field. Nice, nice.
Jazzy says, that's good. Good to know. All right, I'm ready to see the result. Okay. Looks like all of the above.
Wow, 53%. Yeah, at all of the above.
Thank you for sharing that with us, says Jazzy. Let's go on to the next slide.
And this is Brian speaking. Okay, so now to what we do. We started in 2017 moving forward with a grant that we received. And from there, we continued expanding. We typically worked with grant projects and short-term projects that were contracted to create toolkits, courses, and webinars. And over time, we've become very experienced with the webinar portion of it. Like, for example, tonight we have behind the scenes a portion, and also we're on camera tonight. As well as with the coronavirus pandemic, that was an impact. And we realized we had to provide support to the community where it's necessary. We had to provide training and consulting here and there. And we're operating in a virtual world, which we had already become used to. And that's allowed us to go ahead and work through this. Keith, did you want to make a comment? This is Keith, right? I've mentioned before that I've been with CSD Learns for almost 3 years now. And we've navigated quite a long journey over those 3 years. Now, the way CSD Learns started was with 2 folks, and you can see their images on the slides, Joseph and Dan. They initially were here at the inception at CSD Learn, and they were brought in to develop courses. The first project was a partnership with a ride-sharing business or company. That entity asked for translation, American Sign Language translation of their content and their materials to teach the deaf employees or deaf workers, deaf drivers, how to go ahead and work with the system that that company uses. So we went ahead and started developing the materials for that courses. We had videographers, we had interpreters, translation department. And when we delivered the content after we had finished the production, we realized that we didn't have the same vision on both that company's side and our side. However, it was still a positive experience. It was a project that we were able to get out of the way. And then we had a grant come in from Wells Fargo. And with that grant, we had a story-based approach. Imagine a scenario-based approach where a person would be immersed into someone else's life experience as a professional. And so working with Wells Fargo, I think we're about to hit the 3-year mark as far as development. But the first course that was developed that first year focused just on banking basics. And like, for example, how to open a bank account, how to perform online banking procedures, simple stuff when it came to rates and interest. And the example was a person teaching their daughter how to bank as they went into their college years. And so that was a huge success. After the launch, it was spread pretty wide. And then the second one was focused on how to deal with debt, what exactly credit is and how to manage one's credit. And for example, if you have to declare bankruptcy, how to get out of that. And we used the same storyline of the female that had the daughter. And so we had her meet a credit counselor and have that dialogue. And so we filmed that entire journey for that person. And so each course included teachable moments via that for specific topics. Like when it came to credit and debt, we were able to identify the differences. And so we had a great storyline and we were able to teach and educate folks that way. So it was a great part of CSD Learns. And then 3 years later, we got to the point where we developed courses on how to develop a business, how to establish a business. And so we went from covering corporations, LLCs, and so on and so on. So we do have a course on that, and we are very grateful to Wells Fargo for helping us be able to push that forward to the point where we're at now. And I believe this is the part where I say next slide. Yes. So through that experience with the story-based education, with the video productions and the filming of those stories, along the line, we had Brian come in to the team, and because he had experience teaching in a college environment, he used to teach English. And we realized it was important to use a role model approach. And so we included that within our toolkits. And so we started shifting from a story-based approach to a more toolkits including role models within them. And then having that represented to the students. Because Brian was able to see how students lit up when they saw other deaf individuals that they identified with on the screen. Brian, do you want to go ahead and share that experience for yourself? This is Brian. Right, I taught at the U.S. Institute of Technology for 6 years, teaching English, grammar, and I typically worked with freshmen and first-year students of various and diverse backgrounds and intersectionalities. And these folks had different language exposure in their childhood lives, which means it was a challenge for them all to align and meet the goals of the school when it came to English and grammar. So then I started thinking, how do I fascinate them with English? Well, after quite a bit of frustration and trying to figure things out, role models are what really attracted them. People who had similar backgrounds, people who had similar experiences. They were fascinated by that. And I, as a white man, realized that this was an amazing bridge that I developed in my classroom. And so me and the team there decided to develop a curriculum based on that identification or representation approach. And then we had a petition that came out of that at NTID where they wanted to make that a permanent part of the program. So that was pretty amazing. So having that experience and having that knowledge, I brought that with me to CSD Learns because they were, again, in a very innovative position and willing to work to include these ideas that I, again, developed in the classroom and was able to bring into the CSD webinars and classes and courses. And this is key. So when we realized the impact that Brian was having with that technique or that method of using role model-based education, we went ahead and included that into our online courses. So next slide. As you can see, we started with 4 role models and we partnered with NTID, RIT. We flew the role models in to Rochester for the filming of the webinars. And then we also videoed some of their life experiences separately and individually. And so we went from 4 to more. How many role models do we have now, folks? Brian says, well, we'll show on the next slide how many role models we have. But I do want to mention that through the experience, this is how we started working with Jazzy. So it was this experience that we met Jazzy, and she was part of the NTID liaison. And so she was part of the group, and we had her on one of our live events via Zoom. I think we had about 50 middle schoolers who watched the presentation, and now Jazzy is actually a part of CSD Learns, which is great.
Jazzy says
So
that's right.
how many role models do we have now? We have 15. We have 15 role models that we have filmed their life experiences. We've filmed their proudest moments. We've filmed their struggles, their barriers. They've described what they do every day. They've broken it down for elementary, middle school, and high school audiences to have a clear picture and a clear path to attaining that same career that their role model has. And so that's really what draws the students in, is showing them that clear path to the career. And this is Keith. What's really fabulous about those 15 role models is that they're spread throughout the United States. So we have a national team that knows how to identify these key role models and bring them together virtually. And we do this because the deaf community is also not centralized and dispersed in diverse areas. And we're not all housed in one city. We're spread across the states. And so CSD Learns is able to bring these role models together again virtually and share them with the community that is also throughout the United States. And this is Brian. If you look at the images, we've got one person that is behind the scenes. You see the blue wire there, the person that's standing next to what looks like a computer with the blue wire ticker. That is Amanda. She's behind the scenes, is running the webinar today. And I must say it was really tough for us to find a female IT specialist or internet security. And so that was challenging. So it was a priority for us to identify a female involved in a STEM career so that we can go ahead and model that role model to other students. And we also wanted someone that was BIPOC. And so this is a result of a 1-year-long venture in getting all this developed.
This is Jazzy, right? So through that year of using that role model approach, it really showed itself to be a successful approach. It really worked. And so we also asked our teachers and parents for feedback. We wanted to know what they thought of the content that we had developed related to the role model approach. And this was one of the pieces of feedback we got. Representation matters. It is so important for young deaf and hard of hearing students to see someone like them, and they think if they did it, I can do it too, naturally. So I'm wondering, I want to ask you guys on my CSD Learns team, when you were growing up, did you ever meet or see anyone who was deaf that was in a field that you wanted to be involved in, or the work that you're doing now growing up?
This is Brian, none at all. Keith also said none.
Megan says, no, I may have met one person. Jazzy, right. My first exposure to a role model wasn't until college. I met a black deaf woman and I realized I could do the same thing. It was so late by college to have that experience. Ever since I've been working at CSD Learns, it we have seen time and time again that this role model approach works, and that's why we want to continue to spotlight deaf and hard of hearing STEM experts and leaders all over the country.
This is Brian. Also, let me add females in STEM that we've worked with have echoed the same reason as to their experience in wanting to work with us. And they've echoed the fact that they have no role models, no female STEM professionals that they can look up to, that they identify with.
That's right.
So that's been a huge motivator for us to tap into the next generation youth.
This is Megan. So in June of 2019, we typed up a report after gathering data from surveys and questionnaires sent out to educators. And we want to emphasize some of those statistics with you. First stat here, when we polled middle school teachers, shows that deaf and hard of hearing STEM role models for students, we found that 77% said there was very little or no representation of deaf and hard of hearing STEM role models within the classroom. 77% is much too high, and this statistic is one of the reasons that we are driven to find more role models and put out more content with role models within our toolkits. Another statistic that we found was that 85% of teachers have said they do not have enough time or enough resources to create STEM-related materials for their class. 85% is another very high number. For me, I realized, I was a classroom teacher for a short time, and I remember at that time, with all of the demands that were placed on me by the school, my window for being able to create content was very limited, and I struggled in that area. So I do feel some empathy within, classrooms wanting to produce content that makes it easier for teachers to distribute. And I hope you all feel that way as well, that it's made things easier. We've also asked teachers if they show deaf and hard of hearing role models within the classroom related to STEM learning. And then once doing that, what the response was from their students. And the response we got back was that 100% of the students who were exposed to this model felt like it was extremely effective. And so that told us that we were on the right path as a team with CSD Learns in our generation of our material. And that has inspired myself and our team to continue to innovate and really expand on what we do.
This is Brian. I'd like to add to that as well. We are currently in a generational shift where there are more and more deaf people coming into education, coming into professional careers from colleges like Gallaudet and RIT. So there is an increasing amount of visibility on the community. And we want to make sure that the community has a spotlight so that can create a pipeline for the following generation to those careers. And we want to connect to people's own motivation and desire to be successful. And that's the impact we want to have on that deaf youth. And this was all done thanks to support from these three companies that you see on the PowerPoint there: RIT, Regional STEM School, General Motors, and Wells Fargo. They have been the reason on how we've been able to develop the bulk of our 22 toolkits, and why we've been able to dive in and get real dirty with LMSs. We've used a few learning management systems. So we've learned our way through the world of e-learning. And now, moving on back to this slide that was just shown, the statistic about the 85%, we also ran a survey in terms of e-learning. And there were a lot of educators that came in with the same high percentage, indicating that they don't have time to prepare for online learning. And that was shown through the series in previous webinars, that resources are lacking. Resources with templates and materials ready to go are lacking. So that's something that our team is working on. So we are aware of the challenges, and we do have materials coming out in the fall. Now this depends on whether schools decide if they're going to stay open, stay closed, be online, or have a hybrid program. But right now, all that is in flux, and we see that there's a lot of confusion. We see that, acknowledge that, recognize that, and so we are working hard to create new materials to be able to offer for you all to use.
Yes, that's right.
And this is Keith. We offer resources. Of course, we've already mentioned several. And so now I'm curious if any of the folks here have used those resources or toolkits that we offer. We have the STEM toolkits that have been developed that Brian's mentioned already. Has anyone here used those? Now the toolkits are materials that can be downloaded. They're presentations that you can use in your classroom as PDF. So you can present them, and the toolkits also have videos embedded within them with links so that you can show those video clips of the various role models, the folks that we've been showing and highlighting on the PowerPoint here and all those different experiences. You can show those to your students in your classroom. And again, we've really prioritized diversity and highlighting diversity so that everyone in your classroom can have an impact. So I'm really curious to see the results on this poll. Okay, there they are. This is Brian. 5% are indicating yes, very few. This is Keith. This is still very exciting. We just launched a new website that's going to give you easier access to our toolkits. All you have to do is sign up and you'll get a toolkit. We should show them, right? This is Brian. Yeah, are you ready to see how to get access to those toolkits? This is Keith. There's a link there, csd.com/educators. And this is Brian. You should be able to see it there. And this is Keith. Once you enter the website, you can scroll down. Go ahead, scroll down. Right. You can see that you can preview each toolkit. The window that is showing now is for the elementary materials. And it's a 4-week series that includes immunology, nanotechnology, statistics, programming, preserve the earth. That was for Earth Week, for Earth Day, really. And so there's various topics on how to conserve the planet. And we had a lecturer who presented on that. And then we also have RIT toolkits, cybersecurity toolkits, STEM, preservation. We have toolkits on drones, on software engineering as well. And we're going to have a financial education webinar coming up soon that's going to have 2 toolkits. And those toolkits align with the courses that we mentioned initially at the beginning of this webinar. Starting your own business, you can see another toolkit. How to develop a marketing plan, another toolkit. A business development canvas as well. And all the information that's presented in the toolkits give your students real world assignments so they can have a real world experience and have things to do, like for example, how to do a business pitch. And so you can give them a week-long assignment where they can develop business ideas and they can give you a business pitch. It's an excellent way to keep your students engaged. And all the toolkits have items like this. This is Brian. I see a question asking what the age range is for the toolkits. This is Brian. Well, we did develop those STEM toolkits, mostly with the focus for middle schoolers. IT cybersecurity, for example, is one. And the rest are also introductions. We have toolkits that introduce middle schoolers to the engineering environment as well. Now, we also have some toolkits specific for elementary school. And those toolkits help them develop basic STEM skills, like working in a group, and also ask them to trend into STEM. So there's nanotechnology engineering, and then there's also statistics. And so, and again, those are at the elementary school level. We have a couple of different ones at the high school level that define the direct path to those careers, those various careers that were mentioned. We also have the financial education toolkits, which are developed more for young adults, more of a high school age individual that is ready to transition into life, real life itself. Hopefully that answers your question and what age ranges we have on the toolkits. And this is Brian. We've also been hosting webinars over the years. We've hosted a best practices in STEM education workshop. We've had a financial education workshop. And in these webinars, we bring in, again, different deaf professionals from their field, and we allow the audience to ask questions. And we just finished those webinar series as a part of a grant program. However, we do have more of those webinars coming up soon, so keep an eye open for an announcement because there's a lot more coming out from us. Now, you can also watch webinar footage from prior webinars with captions and voice on our resource page. So if you visit our resource page, all those webinars are contained there.
This is Jazzy. Yeah, as Brian mentioned, we have more webinars coming up in the future that we have been planning and preparing for. So we'll share more of our upcoming plans for the next upcoming webinars soon. As I mentioned earlier during this session, typically we would film those role models in person in Rochester, New York. So we would fly our role models in for 1 to 2 days of filming, typically over a weekend. Then we take all the content and edit it. But now with coronavirus, we have to suspend travels for everyone's safety. So now instead, we're working with remote filming, and that is what we plan to do. We're going to continue the development of our role model filming by remote film techniques. So we also partner with various deaf organizations, and we have one that's coming up in 2 weeks. We're partnering with the National Deaf Educators Conference, NDEC. And CSD Learns will be sponsoring and supporting their Zoom and online meeting. So we're so thrilled to be able to partner with them. Also, again, with COVID-19 and all students returning back home and learning and having their education done at home, we're trying to figure out what that will mean, trying to navigate this pandemic all together. We don't know if students will be returning back to school in the fall or how teachers are learning how to direct their instruction online now. So with our teachers' toolkits, what we've done is we've gathered a focus group of deaf educators and administrators to tell us more about your needs and best practices and what you've learned through this experience as far as what tools you're also learning and using. So we've gathered all of those resources and information to put it in one place because we want to provide a resource that will really meet the needs of all of you educators out there. With COVID-19, we had originally planned a tour actually prior to that, visiting different deaf schools, and we were going to host some STEM education events at 4 different deaf schools, but with the onset of COVID-19, we've stopped that, yet we still want to provide this STEM education help and note and how-tos. So we've decided to do a virtual tour instead in the fall. We're planning to partner with those same 4 deaf schools and also open it up worldwide, really to have worldwide access for STEM education. So more details will be coming up soon on that. I hope you follow us and are a part of our mailing list. There's also more educator toolkits coming up as well in the future. So I'm so excited about that.
This is Brian, definitely jazzy. The biggest challenge here is how to captivate the elementary school age kids on the STEM subjects virtually. And so we're now figuring out this huge, tremendous question that we've got to respond to and form a solution. That's the next step in deaf education, is how we can be agile and meet the needs of the community.
This is Megan. Right, with so much coming up soon, I strongly encourage you to sign up for our mailing list, our email mailing list. Also, keep an eye out on our social media posts. We have at CSD Neighborhood posts on Instagram and Facebook. Look and see what's coming up and see if it's something that would be useful for you to use in the classroom. That's what we're here for.
And this is Brian, CSD Neighborhood, as you can see on my shirt. CSD Learns is a part of that. So that is our umbrella organization, CSD Neighborhood. And CSD Neighborhood is a part of CSD. And we've learned along with the community, and without the community, there would be no us. And so as far as expansion of the role models and content, our contracts and our search to find folks, we really appreciate the community and its contributions. And we acknowledge that there is a need for us to become more inclusive as well and lean in and put our shoulders into the effort to fight against racism and inequality. And we've decided on an action plan, which I'd like to detail now. We have recognized recently via assessing the numbers of our visible representation through our materials, our guest speakers, our webinar hosts, our panelists, our role models. We noticed that 41% of BIPOC folks were represented there. And so we do want to increase those numbers so that it's over half, so that it's over 55% representation. We are very aware of those numbers, and we are very aware that what students and educators see has a direct impact on their motivation levels and in their overall journey of life. And so we want to share opportunities with this group of folks as well. And so we've prioritized increasing BIPOC support in our work in terms of our production teams internally as well. And we want to provide intentional mentoring opportunities to make sure that we are providing active listening opportunities, that we are providing networking opportunities so that we can work closely with the BIPOC community and again, get them reinterested in their careers and get more BIPOC deaf folks in the fields, in the STEM fields as well. And CSD Learns is also working to incorporate EDI philosophy in all the upcoming webinar series and toolkits or projects that we might work on, specifically to make sure that our goals here happen, our goals in our action plan happen. And we've noticed that we need to establish data identifying how much of our student audience is BIPOC too, and we want those numbers to be reflected. So we are working on figuring that out so that we know who we're having an impact on. And so basically, that's our action plan. Now moving on to this slide. This is Keith. We've shared what we've developed over the last 3 years here at CSD Learns. Now we're curious to ask you what it is you want more of. And if there's something we haven't put out that you think we should add to our offering, please let us know. I'm pretty sure I have a poll question. Well, if you'd like to respond, please put it into the chat and we will go ahead and read to figure out what you're looking for. Because we want to be agile and we want to follow what the community is searching for.
Yeah, I'm wondering, says Megan.
This is Brian. We've created quite a bit of STEM content. We have financial education content created. And now we'd like to ask, what else would you like to see? Okay, I see your response. More for younger groups, for the elementary group. Okay. And when you say more, I'm curious, more of what? And then I see content at a lower reading level. Okay, but that still relates to middle school interests. Okay. High school materials, materials like biology, chemistry, earth science, climate change. And then biomed, interesting mention. What works for virtual learning for DHH students in a K through 12 environment? That is a broad question, very broad question. This is Keith. We had a roundtable discussion just like this. A third one. We had a third, second, and first one. We had different educators come together and have that roundtable discussion on the transition from in-person teaching to the online teaching model. And that is a place where we could have the conversations about what's working and not working. And so we are going to have more of those roundtables in the near future. We want to include we do have a blog that you can look to of that past meeting, so you can look at that. And this is Brian. EDI resources for STEM is a mention. Okay, okay. Language arts instruction. Okay. What else, folks? Let us know what you're interested. Okay, I see that. Coding. Now let me ask, how's your journey relate to online teaching? Do you folks feel like you need resources, support, consulting? So for the fall that we're headed into, what are your needs?
Megan says, good question.
What templates? Yeah, what templates could you use? Deaf culture, I see in the audience. Physics, okay, a little more complex, diving into the physics world. I see elementary school materials again, okay.
That's a wide range, says Jazzy.
Folks, anything else? Any more? Anything? Okay, someone says they want to look at the website.
That's okay, says Jazzy.
This is Brian. Okay, okay. The most complex of all, of course, is physics. I think we'd have to hire someone with a PhD or a doctorate degree to teach that one, huh?
Jazzy says, we actually know someone.
Do we? Okay, great.
Yeah.
This is Brian. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. You can see the picture there. We just attended CEASD Advocacy Summit, Advocacy event in Washington, D.C. We were there having a conversation with lawmakers. Now let me take a look at the Q&A.
Megan says, ask away.
This is Keith. What works for virtual learning for deaf and hard of hearing students in K through 12? Many states currently are developing guidelines for educators and teachers that are working with students who have hearing loss. as far as best practices. Those experiences will be valuable to help us know what works. This is Brian. Okay, that's a question out of the Q&A box. To help us answer that, I can say that the virtual world is still new to us. We're still trying to figure out the learning management system world and get a bearing on that. But what we've learned so far is that it helps to chunk learning, your students' learning. If we can chunk that into bite-sized material where it's paced learning, and we include visual assets and visual accessibility, and that truly helps. Now, do we have any other questions from the audience? This is Brian. I do see a couple more comments coming in. Interactive remote classes, okay. Someone would love to see biology, healthcare field, okay. Mainstream accessibility, being a hit and miss, right. And then I see short sessions, short but easy to understand lessons, right, that is correct.
Jazzy, right, bite size being the emphasis.
This is Brian. At RIT, for example, to teach grammar, we noticed the importance of breaking down that information into small digestible bits, because grammar can be complex. And so when we simplified it into smaller bits, our audience of learners with various language backgrounds and various challenges were able to grasp those bits bit by bit and then assemble a learning over time. Go ahead, Keith. This is Keith. There's another question. Person says, Zoom is used quite frequently. And is there any other software for interactive classes? And this is Brian. For interactive classes, this is a great question. We do have STEM events coming up. And those STEM events are going to be, or are considered actually, interactive classes. So we don't exactly have the dates set yet. We will have several, and they are coming soon in the fall. They will be held via Zoom. And those interactive classes will be focused on elementary and middle schoolers. So we're working on the best way to engage them via activities, via reinforced learning, and again, via role models. This is Keith. I also want to mention that our last virtual event was on Earth Day. It was for an Earth Day event, and we had many different classrooms throughout the country participate. We had 4 different role models. We had 3 different groups of role models that discussed, for example, one was how plants grow, another was statistics and how they work and how things function in the statistical world. I think we also had a presenter on pollution, right?
Yes.
Was it Jazzy?
Jazzy says biology.
Right, biology and the water cycle. And it was interactive and via polls that we generated and asked the audience members questions. And so we had an interactive class already, but it's also an event. This is, Brian, I see another question coming in asking about CSD Learns videos and can they be used on their LMS? Our response here is yes. Our resources are intended to be used by you. You can pull components from our resources and use them. Our videos are hosted on YouTube. You can place that link wherever it fits in your program. You can restructure our materials to your preference. We have videos of interviews where we interview the role models. And so you can use our materials where you feel it fits your students best so that you can engage them the best. So all those decisions are left up to you. And this is Keith. We have another question show up. And that question asks if there's any class for parents.
This is Megan. I can answer that. Really, our resources are tailored to fit educators to use within the classroom. However, our webinars are open to the whole community for everyone's ability to view. However, the content to those are specific to educators, again, to be used in the classroom. However, I do want to mention that I've noticed in our evaluation of how we can reach out to various audiences, we've noticed there is not a lot of representation from people with mainstream schools, and they're really hard to reach out to. You know, in the poll we ran earlier tonight, we noticed that there was a low number of people from the mainstream setting. So if you are a parent who knows students that are in mainstream programs and public schools, I would very much encourage you to share our resources and our website with them so that the students that you may know or even teachers who are working in mainstream schools provide them with these resources. They may be unaware. And again, this is a very new team in a newer company. We're doing our best to get the word out of these resources, but we'd love to have parents involved in that way in distributing our resources.
This is Brian. We do know that the Lauren Clare Center sent out an advocacy app to parents so that they can become familiar with using that. But I'm not sure if they've updated their information in regards to the virtual learning challenges and how parents can best support their learners at home within that environment. Myself, I'm not sure. I don't have a response, but it is something for us to keep in mind. Any other questions, folks?
Jazzy says it may be time to wrap up.
This is Brian. Yep, it might be a good time to do so.
Jazzy says right before we wrap up, though, as you can see, there's 4 of us here on this team, but we have so many plans and a lot of projects coming up. It would be impossible for the 4 of us to do them alone. One thing that CSD Learns thrives on is relying on deaf and hard of hearing talent out there. We really need that talent. So if you yourself or if you know of someone else who is an expert in a particular subject matter like curriculum development or a STEM role model out in the world, or maybe a video editor or has Zoom webinar experience, or any other talents that we could put to work in the background, we are very interested in that. Please reach out to us. We want you. We need more deaf talent, and we really want to promote that and provide more job opportunities as well. We do work with a lot of independent contractors for our projects, and we're always seeking out more. So please reach out to us if you yourself or anyone you know would be interested in working with CSD Learns.
This is Brian. Let me add to that. We will also be sending out a survey after tonight's webinar. And if you know any deaf young people who would like an opportunity to work with our team to support us again, like during a webinar, then we would love your input and your recommendations. We will reach out to anyone you send our way and make those connections.
Term basis. So maybe just if you could lend a little bit of your time, something you could do over a weekend as light work, please do consider it.
This is Brian. I think I see another question pop up. Keith? Keith here. Yeah, parents are now, the question says, parents are now responsible to take care of the kids at home and make sure that they're online and understanding their materials. Do you have any recommendations on how to use apps to check if your kids are doing their homework and or how to support them in STEM, learning STEM materials? This is Brian. Keith, that is a great question, which we don't have an answer to at the moment. We really would love to delve into that question and make it a topic for a future discussion.
All right.
This is Brian. Folks, just so you know, this is a subject that the team will discuss.
Yes, for sure, says Megan.
One last comment. Americans only, Canadian here, regarding short-term contracts or work. This is Brian. Reach out to us and let's talk. Brian here. Okay, so now to wrap up, again, as I just mentioned, we have a survey we'll be sending out. Please fill that in. We would love to see your support and feedback. I see another message that says thanks. Oh, thank you as well. Thank you for being here tonight. We
Yes.
appreciate your time spent with us here tonight.
Thank you for watching with
Okay,
us.
so 2 thumbs up. Have a good evening, folks. Thank you. I'd like to thank the team here as well. Thumbs up. Good night.
Bye-bye.